sitting in Los Angeles in my beautiful office of my own late-night talk show. Soon I would be driving my hybrid car to my beautiful fucking home to kiss my 2 beautiful and healthy children and my husband who had taken the year off to parent so I could focus on my career. And I have all of this, all of it, because I was allowed bodily autonomy at 15. I will not be shamed into being quiet. We will not be shamed into being quiet. Never again. I will never stop talking about my abortion or my periods or my experiences in childbirth, my episiotomies, my yeast infections, or my ovulation that lines up with the moon.
Oh, wait, here, can I hold this? Can I interview you?
No, you can't.
Why not?
Because it's my property. It's my property. Okay, so here we go. Here we go, guys.
Yeah, here we go. This
not
is what you
respecting
expected.
other people's property. So you're celebrating abortion.
Fuck yes, I'm celebrating abortion. I had one a month ago, and it was fucking great.
Oh my God,
yeah, thank you. I haven't told a lot of people.
Also, can I have a hug?
Yes.
How have you been? So good to see you.
Are we still interviewing?
No, I'm just showing people what you guys are out here doing.
Right, I'm sure you are, and then you're going to be like, look at these evil abortion people on your stupid fucking website.
I don't need to say any of that.
All right, well, thank you.
You guys are just showing people how you are.
Is one less person that Alex Jones can sell supplements to, and I think that's your real point.
Look at her. Take a look at her earrings here. She's got crocodiles eating babies. Like, really? I mean, you think that's classy? The crocodile eating the baby?
They're adorable.
You think it's adorable?
I think they're adorable.
I mean, did you make
They're actually
those?
not babies. They're fetuses.
Wait, are you triggered?
Did you make those?
I want the video to go trigger.
You can look on Pinterest maybe, and you can maybe find them there.
That'd be cute.
So you bought them on Pinterest.
Did I
So
buy
are those babies or fetuses?
So the only place you exist online is InfoWars. You just proved it. Like, Pinterest doesn't
These
work.
girls are obsessed with InfoWars, and you're also obsessed with supplements. I think you guys should actually try them. They might do good for you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is there an MLM?
Do you take supplements?
Can I join your downline?
Do you take supplements?
Is an abortion pill considered a supplement?
Okay. So they don't take supplements, guys. I take
Supplement
supplements.
if you're not having a
They don't.
baby.
I take supplements. They don't. They take abortion pills.
You know what's at stake? Over the last 3 years, women's reproductive rights have come under attack in a way we haven't seen in modern history. From Louisiana to Missouri to Texas, Republican legislatures are waging a war on women, all women. And they're taking away fundamental rights. I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions. The bottom line is very simple. We will stand with the American people. We will stand with American women. We will tell President Trump and Senate Republicans who have stacked the court with right-wing ideologues that you're going to be gone in November and you will never be able to do what you're trying to do now, ever again.
If there's one thing that I would like everybody here today to know, is that refugees are not numbers. They're not a problem that needs solving. They are a treasure, not a burden.
I was just at Market Basket, minding my own business by myself, getting some water. An American guy, white guy, comes up to me. He's like, "This is your fault, you fucking chicks." Like, really?
Nicest person I think I've ever met in politics.
Is that right?
He is as good a man as God ever created. And we don't agree on much. But I think he's been dealt a really gut blow. I think he focuses on what he's got to do, not what he lost. His heart's been ripped out, but he's going to make sure that the other members of his family is well taken care of. And he started talking about his grandkids. More worried about them than anything. We just talked about the future.
Yeah.
He started talking about the future of his family. Tonight closed all the bars and all the restaurants. That's designed to stop the spread of the virus. My goal is to make sure that all those people who are working at a restaurant in Myrtle Beach and were working in a bar all over South Carolina, that their income is protected. We don't need a Christmas tree approach. We need to protect people who have lost their jobs because of the virus. No more, no less.
Okay. All of that. Are we going to get that? Because it didn't start out too well in the House.
Well, the House bill is going to pass the Senate tomorrow afternoon, and that deals with people who are sick. What's happened now is that people in South Carolina and throughout the country are out of work because of the virus. The economy 3 weeks ago was historically good. Along comes the virus. This president closed down travel between us and China, the single best decision he made. Now, he told me tonight that those people are out of work because of the containment policies, shutting down restaurants, hotels, and bars. We're going to keep their checks coming. They don't need $1,000. They need a sustainable income, either through loans from their employers to keep the payroll coming or get on unemployment insurance or something like it so they'll have income. Our number one job right now is to provide income to those people who have lost their job because of the virus.
Calling this the Chinese virus. There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate. Yeah, please, John, please. I have great love for all of the people from our country, but as you know, China tried to say at one point, maybe they're stopped now, that it was caused by American soldiers. That can't happen. It's not going to happen, not as long as I'm president. It comes from China.
Io sono cinese, ma non sono il virus. No, un abbraccio va benissimo, grazie. Ma grazie.
精彩尽在中国新闻网客户端。
Actually, this intelligence briefing for the president-elect was always planned for Friday. It hasn't been delayed. But he's taking these shots, this antagonism, this taunting to the intelligence community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
Come on, go. Let's go eat some fried fish. Fried fish. Come on, Vogue and go. Let's go eat some fried fish. Fried fish. Cause there's no more pasta. Oh no. So we're gonna eat some fried fish. Fried fish. Yeah.
You know, I think it's too bad in a way that we have had to have these epidemics to get us to move, but the timing in terms of the science, the recognition that epidemics don't respect borders, and so whether you're looking at this through a humanitarian lens or a purely domestic lens.
So I'm here at the Tin Roof in Atascocita, Texas, just outside Houston. And this place is struggling. They might have to close down. This is the kind of place that would be saved by the stimulus package that we were hoping to vote on as of yesterday. But Democrats torpedoed it. This is the kind of business that would have access to an SBA loan that would then be forgiven for rent, utilities, and payroll. That bill would have kept employees attached to their businesses. We're in a pandemic right now, which means we have to press pause on the economy. We've got to press pause on the economy. We're asking businesses to close. We're asking them to stop serving customers. If we're going to ask them to do that, we have to give them the capital to survive during the pause in economic activity. We have to make sure they can keep paying employees and their rent. That's what that bill was going to do. For small businesses, those loans would just be forgiven. For big businesses, they would be loans. Democrats don't like big business. Democrats, I don't think, understand basic economics. They don't understand that when your fellow American loses a job, it doesn't matter whether they're from a small business or a large business. Large businesses need capital. There was $500 billion that would be loanable to big business. Democrats hated that. They hated it. Even though within the bill there was parameters in place. No increases for executive pay, no stock buybacks, and keeping people on payroll. All of the protections were in there. And our economy needs it badly. It needs it badly. We're shedding jobs like crazy. Businesses are closing today and tomorrow and the day after that. This is no time for partisan politics, but that's what the Democrats wanted to do. It's the most disgusting thing I've seen. Why are they doing it? What do they want in the bill? What's their counter negotiation? This is going to make you really upset. Here's just a few items. It's things like they want collective bargaining rights for federal workers. That has nothing to do with the coronavirus. And by the way, federal workers are still getting paid, just like most government workers are. Guess what else they wanted? They want carbon emissions caps on the airlines if they're going to...
Hasidic Jewish boy anthem. Hi, my name is Shmari Yahu, and I am a Chassid. If you give me something other than Torah, then I'll just toss it. I don't drive a fancy sports car, even though you know I can. And if you are wondering, then yes, we drive a big old van. I celebrate all Jewish holidays, and I daven 3 times a day. Our main language is Yiddish. Oy vey. And if you don't like Jews, then proceed with caution, or else we'll name a food after you like Hamantashen.
This is another one of those where I can't even tell if the person criticizing me is a Nazi or a socialist or both, or a Bernie stan, or haha, well this just gets great. Not only are you a complete retarded Nazi, but also a as well. Ha 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 ha, man, that gets good. Enjoy your worthless life, dumb. Republicans will always help you, hate you. Sure, they'll pretend they like you. Some of those sick pieces of will even you, but they'll toss you into the concentration camp when it gets convenient. You can never truly be one of them, and you know that because you're a Is this person a liberal? A Nazi? I don't know.
Some of you may recognize the song Scott Pilgrim vs. the World ruined an entire generation of women based off of some popular TikToks. Well, I'm here to show my counterpoint to that song called The Song Scott Pilgrim vs. the World ruined an entire generation of women, ruined an entire generation of men that frankly had no chance to be saved to begin with. Here we go.
Skater TKYLE, he dabbles in misogyny, and he's trying to have a threesome with you. His partner is non-binary and still refers to them as she and forbids them to see any other dudes. Has no good handle on consent. His parents are the 1%. His mom pays rent but says that he's oppressed. Won't date a trans girl even though he IDs as bisexual. Refuses to go see a therapist.
Would the WHO consider Taiwan's membership? Hello?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your question.
Okay, yeah. Let me repeat the question.
No, that's okay. Let's move to another one then.
Right, because I'm actually curious on talking about Taiwan as well, on Taiwan's case.
We decided to give Dr. Alward another call to follow up.
And I just want to see if you can comment a bit on how Taiwan has done so far in terms of containing the virus.
Well, we've already talked about China, and when you look across all the different areas of China, they've actually all done quite a good job. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much for inviting us to participate, and good luck as you go forward with the battle in Hong Kong.
Dick Stain, you fuck, you deviant, pussy-grabbing fuck you. You're still talking about Easter. You're still talking about packing churches for Easter Sunday. Let me tell you something, you fucking loser. The Pope himself, you ever heard of him? The Pope himself canceled Easter ceremonies 2 weeks ago, you fucking dummy. You fucking loser. The Pope said Easter has been shut down. Okay? Pack your fucking bunny suit. Okay? Put the fucking chocolates away. Okay? It's not like you're going to give them to the kids anyway. You're going to stuff your fucking fat fucking pie hole. Easter is shut down. Okay? You could repent another fucking weekend. Start repenting tonight. You know what's going on in Queens, in the borough of Queens, where you were born? People are dying, you fuck. Worry about that. Easter's shut down. I'm Jewish, and I know that.
Well, then. Right, what do you want to say to it?
So, as my colleague said, it's a public order complaint. Somebody's made a complaint that you've acted in a manner causing them permanent alarm and distress.
Alarm and distress in what way?
So, that would be part of the allegation that you get to hear.
Yeah.
As my colleague's asked, I'm inviting you to attend an interview at Winton Police Station on Friday so we can investigate.
I'm happy to give you a statement. I'm not going to go for an interview.
Okay, well, it would be an interview. It would be a recorded interview under the Police and Criminal Ambulance Act.
I'm not really happy to come to the station for that. It's ridiculous because all I haven't actually done. If they've got some proof against me and they can show you any evidence I've done anything wrong, then I'll come to the station. Otherwise, I'm not going to bother.
We have got evidence from them. We've got statements and videos.
Videos. What am I doing in them videos?
Because that's something that you'll have the opportunity to see.
I've got the videos too, haven't I? Them putting tickets on all innocent people's cars when everyone's in quarantine with their kids and you can't leave your houses.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so there's the opportunity for you to see that evidence when you come for your interview. So the only other option, as my colleague was surely about to explain, is that if you don't come for an interview, we need to conduct the investigation. We can arrest you on suspicion of a public order offence and then take you to the interview.
Cool.
We don't
when are you going to do that?
Sorry?
When are you going to do that?
Well, I'm going to tell you when I'm going to come and arrest you.
Yeah.
Well, I don't intend to arrest you at the moment. No one here does. We want you to
I'm just a bit worried why there's 5 police officers at my door when everyone's in quarantine for me recording a traffic warden. Have you not got more stuff you need to prioritise over this? Is this it? Because about 3 weeks ago, someone took my van and stole £8,000 worth of things. I didn't even get a phone call back off one of you guys when I called 9 hours before. They haven't recovered any of the stuff. Still got £8 grand worth of stuff stolen out of my van. No one come then. I rang you 3 or 4 times and no one even came.
Okay.
So why are you responding to this so much?
Because it's public order complaints.
It's not. I haven't done anything. You can ask any of the neighbours. They were all watching out their windows at the traffic warden.
Okay, Jordan, you're taking us round in circles. So, are you going to come in for an interview on Friday?
I don't know. Possibly, possibly not.
All right. Okay.
Have you got like an appointment card you can leave me? Or...
Yeah, my colleague can write you an appointment card.
Yeah, if you leave me an appointment card, that'd be lovely. Okay, cheers.
Okay, the fact is that striking in a time of pandemic, not because of bad worker pay, but because you just want more money. I'm sorry, everyone else lost their job. Everyone else lost their damn job. Okay, like, if I were Amazon and I had the capacity, I'd fire everybody who strikes right now, and I'd bring in workers who are willing to work. I would, because it's unconscionable. The reason I say it's unconscionable is not only are you depriving people of the supply lines that are keeping the country running right now, not only that, but Amazon offered you additional benefits already. This is not your striking because Amazon's forcing you to go to work. On March 31st, today, Whole Foods employees are going to call in sick to demand paid leave for all workers who stay home or self-quarantine during the crisis. Free coronavirus testing for all employees. Hazard pay. Here's the big one. Hazard pay of double the current hourly wage for employees who show up to work during the pandemic. You want your pay doubled just for showing up to work while everyone else in the country is out of work? I'm sorry, no. Okay, and by the way, the actual thing that Whole Foods has done, Whole Foods, buried in this article from Vice, has increased hourly pay for its workers already by $2 an hour in the midst of all this. They've offered to provide 2 weeks of paid sick leave to workers who test positive for COVID-19 and said it would not penalize workers for calling out sick. So already saying we're not going to penalize you, we're not going to fire you if you call out sick, but you need to go get a test because we don't just want people staying home without getting a test, which is perfectly reasonable because you need the supply chains working. A Whole Foods worker in Chicago, organizer of the sick out, who wished to remain anonymous because they feared retaliation. They should be fired outright. The most obvious demand we have is for an increase in hazard pay. We're asking for double pay. Double pay. Since we first announced the intent to do a sick out, Whole Foods announced a temporary raise of $2 an hour, which isn't enough. Okay, I'm sorry. What happens if all the cops call out sick because they want double pay? What happens if all of the medical professionals call out sick because they want double pay? You want to? It's funny. Everybody is happy to talk about people in the speculative market buying up coronavirus masks and then trying to sell them for $1,000 on eBay. This is the same damn thing. You're asking for double pay in the midst of a pandemic because you know that those employees are necessary in order to make sure that the old people get their food.
I don't get mad, but this made me mad. Yesterday at the briefing, Trump accused you of trying to get him, told you to be nice, not to be threatening. Meanwhile, you were quoting Trump himself. You were just quoting him on Sean Hannity.
You said it on Sean Hannity's Fox News. You said that
why don't you people act? Let me ask you.
You said
why don't you act in a little more positive? It's always trying to get you.
My question to you is...
Get you. And you know what? That's why nobody trusts the media anymore.
My question to you is, how is that going to impact?
Excuse me, you didn't hear me. That's why you used to work for the Times and now you work for somebody else. Look, let me tell you something. Be nice. Don't
Mr.
be
President,
threatening.
my question
Don't be threatening. Be nice.
Trump has come after you before repeatedly. And this is just my observation, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but sincerely, like, you don't seem like you relish in it. You seem like tough and poised and unshaken. So how do you maintain that posture day after day?
I maintain that because the reason why I became a journalist was because Emmett Till, this 14-year-old boy in Mississippi, was killed, and it sparked the civil rights movement. And I am at my heart a civil rights journalist, and I'm at my heart someone who is constantly thinking we don't have time for foolishness. We don't have time for sideshows. We have, the reason why I'm a reporter is because I really believe vulnerable people in this country don't have a voice, and I think about them every day as I craft my questions. So it can never be about me. It should never be about me because I'm so focused on all the people in this country who will never see the White House, who will never get to speak to a president. And they deserve me to be professional and to not lose my cool, and for me to be so focused on the truth that I'm not wavering on anything else that's going on around me.
And let me just make my plea. Until the coronavirus is resolved, criminals take a break, okay? Stay home, okay? Stay home. And don't commit any crimes. And that way, they'll stay safe and out of jail. And police officers will stay safe and can go home to their families, okay? So everybody chill. Crooks, criminals, you chill. Wait till the coronavirus is over, okay? And then we'll all be okay.
This is the neighborhood, and you are not welcome.
That's why I need to be here. You need Jesus, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Audrey, and I fight for her because I firmly believe that abortion is healthcare. And there's really not much more to say. If we continue to let these pro-life legislators pass these policies regarding our bodily autonomy, then I really fear for what our right to reproductive choice looks like in the future.
Every year that we allow people to drive their cars, 30 to 35,000 people will die. And across the world, it would be 1 million people or thereabouts. And there will be tens of thousands more, if not hundreds of thousands more, I don't know, who are seriously injured, maimed, or crippled in car accidents. We know that is the cost of having our cars. And yet, nobody says, let's get rid of cars. And so the calculation we have made, the bargain we have made, the deal we've made is those 35,000 dead are a price worth paying so that we can drive. We don't want to put it that way. We don't want to think of it that way. We're not saying that it would be worth it to actively kill 35,000 people to like appease the gods or something so that we can drive. That's not the point. Okay? We're not saying that we should go out and kill 35,000 people ourselves in order to drive. What we're saying is if people drive, 35,000 people or thereabouts will die. We don't want them to, but they will. And although we're very sad about that, we will accept that side effect. And then we bring that over to the COVID-19 discussion and we say, okay, in order to preserve our economy, we know what we're willing to accept in order to preserve our ability to drive. What are we willing to accept in terms of a death toll in order to preserve our economy and our way of life and our livelihoods? Our cars, along with our homes and our retirement savings and the food in our fridge and everything else. What are we willing to accept there in terms of risk, in terms of potential death toll? It's got to be way over 35,000. So what is it? I don't know. I'm just saying that's the point. That's the ethical question that we're dealing with.
Now you need to get on some tough, old school 1930s shit. Okay, parents, be responsible for your fucking kids, all right? Please stay inside, you guys. You don't understand. Fuck all that. Get your little dirty, fucking grubby, selfish, YOLO, fucking dumb, tattooed faces in the fucking house. Parents, get your fucking kids. Remember that old PSA back in the 70s? It's 9 a.m. Do you know where your kids are? This shit's 24/7. Get your fucking kids in the fucking house.
Don't you intend to stay in this race for president because you believe there is a path to victory. I want to know what that path is, because this feels a little bit like it did when you didn't come out when Hillary Clinton was clearly the person folks were going for. So can you explain why you're still in the race and what this path is that you see?
One of the reasons, that's not quite accurate. I worked as hard as I could to for Hillary Clinton. But the reason there is a path
Bernie,
towards victory.
just so we're clear, you worked for Hillary, but it took you a very, very long time to hop in, and your people also. It took a very long time for them to hop in. So when I say that, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, I don't accept that characterization, but the point is, people have a right.
Why are you still in the race?
People have a right. Last I heard, people in a democracy have a right to vote, and they have a right to vote for the agenda that they think can work for America, especially in this very, very difficult moment. We are assessing our campaign, as a matter of fact, where we want to go forward. But people in a democracy do have a right to vote. And right now, in this unprecedented moment in American history, I think we need to have a very serious discussion about how we go forward. And one of the things that I am working on with other members of the Senate and Congress is a new stimulus package, which not only makes sure that all of our people in this crisis have health care, but also that they continue to receive their paycheck. We have got to understand where we are at. And right now is April 1st. It is likely possible there are millions of people who cannot pay their rent, cannot pay their mortgage.
Yes. But wouldn't it be smarter for you to continue on that path to make sure that gets done?
Well, we are doing it. Believe me, I am doing it. I'm sitting in my house right now. I'm not holding a rally in Wisconsin because of the nature of campaigns. But right now, what I am primarily focusing on with other members of the Congress is a new what we call a coronavirus 4 stimulus package, which will guarantee that every worker in America continues to receive his or her paycheck, that states and cities get the kind of revenue they need to maintain their payroll and take care of the work that they have got to do. What I am very worried about is that people cannot afford to. Well, you know,
your plan is to
said that we are. Well, for the fourth time.
You're assessing.
We are assessing.
Okay. All right.
We are assessing.
Very good. Sarah, you want to.
You know, how is COVID-19 different from the flu in terms of, you know, how it, you know, interacts with the body and just how it spreads?
Well, it's similar in some respects, Steph, in that it's a respiratory illness that's transmitted by the respiratory route. It gives a degree of pathology that's mostly pneumonia. The reason it's different is that it's very, very much more transmissible than flu. And more importantly, it's significantly more serious. Let me give you some very quick numbers.
Okay.
The overall mortality of seasonal flu that you and I confront every year is about 0.1%. The overall mortality of coronavirus is about 1%. Sometimes, like in China, it was up to 2 to 3%, which means it's at least 10 times more serious than the typical influenza. So when people kind of compare it, in some respects, it has some similarities, but it's really, really different in its degree of seriousness.
Let us not forget that COVID-19 is a gendered crisis. Nurses, nurse aides, teachers, child carers, and early childhood educators, aged care workers, and cleaners are mostly women. They are on the front line of this public health crisis and carry a disproportionate risk of being exposed to the virus. Let's also not forget that not all homes are safe places. Quarantine or self-isolation at home will put women and children at risk. Women's advocates and domestic violence experts are warning us that domestic abuse increases during times of crisis. And I'm terribly worried that these warnings have not been heeded by this government that has long resisted adequate funding for the needed resources and refuges.
Officially got laid off from my job due to the coronavirus. When I got the news, I was shocked, but it was also inevitable. I work in the event industry, so we could no longer host events, though it didn't feel real until, you know, it was real.
the sole provider of my family of 3 living in Arizona. I work in Nevada, which means my place of employment was shut down on March 17th at the government's proposal.
I was laid off of 2 jobs because of COVID-19. I really have no idea where my next paycheck might come from, how I'm going to afford rent.
While those who are already financially secure may just be adjusting to living on limited resources, those of us who are already financially insecure are nothing short of terrified. We are at risk of losing our houses, cars, basic necessities.
Now, we are closed for the foreseeable future because we put our whole life's work into making this shop, put a lot of money, put a lot of our income into making this shop, and now none of us have any kind of income coming in. We are struggling to kind of get by and support ourselves and our rent and our utilities during this time.
The best message I could possibly spread right now is to be kind to one another and to support each other in literally any way that you can, whether that's cooking a meal for somebody, watching someone's kids, lending a couple dollars, letting someone vent to you about, you know, their life and their circumstances. That will all truly go the extra mile, and know that we're going through an extremely sensitive and fragile period of our lives, but we are all going through it together. We will get through it together.
It's a weird thing that goes on in society. It's very, very common, very predictable, but I want you to be fully aware of it. So when ignorance and incompetence and moral, financial and political corruption have led to a crisis, when that crisis is upon the world, every intergalactic jerkwad who contributed to that crisis says, hey man, now, you see, is not the time to point fingers. Now we've got to just deal with this. We've got to pull together. We've got to deal with this crisis. And I say no. No, 1,000 times no. Now is exactly the time to point fingers. So the elites for the past couple of decades have been telling us that the gravest danger, the gravest conceivable danger that we face as a species is not a totalitarian communist regime in China or other things. They've been telling us, you see, that the gravest danger we face as a species is a tiny change in temperatures 100 years from now, and that we need to expend every conceivable resource we have in our possession to combat a slight variation in the temperature of the planet. They got everything wrong. They said, hey, let's move all of our manufacturing to a communist dictatorship in China. Let's have free trade with them. Let's work with them. They're great guys. As it turns out, they're really not great guys. And that the issue of a temperature rise could actually help against coronavirus, and it is not going to be the end of everything. See, if you're not loved when you're a child, you grow up with a great yearning for an authority figure to take care of you and to love you. And those in power recognize this, which is why they promote lovelessness within families. They can then hook into that void of affection that you had as a child and say, don't worry, we'll take care of you, we love you, we will be your protectors. But it is an even more brutal form of exploitation than unloving parents, and until we learn to heal that wound, we will forever be livestock to those in power.
Things are really starting to heat up around here. When the virus starts hitting the people you know and love, and affecting friends, and it's no longer a statistic. I watched the last rose petals go down the drain, and yes, I'm lucky I have a friend who is a florist, but even she has given me the last of her roses. As I watched them stop up the drain, and I listened to Brian Eno's new record called Rose Quartz, I thought to myself, life is so precious. Be modest. For once in my life. You know, the patriarchy is still trying to run my life. Death to the patriarchy. Good night, Charlie Parker, and good night, Light.
Local organizations supporting the measure include the International League of People Struggle, Migrante Portland, PCHIRP, All African People's Revolutionary Party, FRSO, and Red Rainbow PDX. An eviction moratorium is good in that it will keep people in their homes during the peak of the pandemic. But if they're thrown out right after, or 3 months, or 6 months after, they will still be in danger, and the economy of Portland will still limp along as it attempts to recover from the virus.
Thank you.
Flatten the curve! Freeze the rent! Flatten the curb! Freeze the rent!
Flatten the curve! Freeze the rent!
We will not pay rent on April 1st. You will not have it. You will not be able to collect it.
Thank you. If we can,
18,000 people in county signing it. You will not get the people to sign it.
Thank you. Can we open?
No, it is not. But you need to be held to account.
Thank you. Can we just let?
You need to be held to account. Don't tell me to thank you.
You need to go outside. If you
No, I don't need to
your
do
press
anything. I should just come to you and cough on you. What are you going to do about that?
Can we
say that in front of the entire meeting?
Can we give the press a chance to ask Dr. Vines questions?
Let them ask.
Chair Kafori, do you want to continue? We're going to continue. If there are any more questions in this.
And I'm asking people to think broadly about strategies that can help us ride the wave of the economic impact that's being created by this public health crisis.
Bring out the best in
I need you to let other people ask questions. You got your time at the mic. Yes.
What about
other questions?
I'm sorry.
Yes, Pat.
You mentioned.
This message is for Brian Chesky of Airbnb. We are your loyal hosts and most devoted supporters. Well, that is, we used to be. Now, with fire boiling through our veins, we are collectively outraged. We thought you cared until you stabbed us in the back and left us to die. You give us the illusion of stability, then you tear it from our bleeding hands when we need it most. You let us choose a cancellation policy, then you override it on your whim like a sadistic tyrant. Maybe you're good at big numbers, engineering the perfect algorithm, designing the perfect culture, building systems at gravity-defying scale. But you greedy, selfish, arrogant, flippant, wishy-washy, backstabbing bastard, you would not have an empire without us. It's our homes on your platform. It's our face on millions of listings. It's our soul that brings the magic. It's our thoughtful touches they love. It's our coffee they drink each morning. It's our place that makes you money. You may have started this company, but we helped you build it. As you sit in your fancy office dreaming up your next billion, we are the legion that make it possible. We are the fuel that powers your machine. We are the ones standing in line for 5 hours to buy toilet paper so what few guests we have left can clean their ass before they cancel penalty free. You are nothing without us. We are not numbers. We are not data. We are people. Bleeding out with your evil, unethical, and immoral extenuating circumstances policy.
I'm here to tell you that the boys are pro-choice and pro-life. Hear me out. Your choices are condoms, abstinence, adoption, Plan B, but the one option that you're not allowed to have is the option to kill your baby, also known as abortion. That's murder, and that's not good.
Ready? Okay, I get it. I'm fat, and I'm okay with that. But you ain't, and that's cool, because you wouldn't know what to do with all these extras. Yeah.
I think as time goes forward, hopefully doctors and scientists will get a better handle on the whole situation. Fortunately, from what I understand, it is contagious, but the death rate is pretty low. So, yeah, I understand the fear.
Yeah, well, we can see you still have a cough. What do the doctors say about your own condition moving forward as we wrap this up?
Excuse me. Let me get some of that. They said, yeah, I'm fine. I got tested twice, negative both times. The cough, probably just nerves.
Yeah, being on TV.
Fair enough.
Hey, Twitter world, yours truly. Well, I'm at my local market today because I was watching a show today, and, you know, everything is coronavirus, and they were talking about what items had gone up the most, had sold the most. And you know, things like Clorox and wipes and TP. But the item that they say have gone up in sales the most was something called oat milk. Something I had never heard of. I mean, I've never heard of this stuff. But evidently it has a long shelf life. You don't have to refrigerate it until you open it. Then it has a 5 to 7 day life like regular milk. So I decided I better get it. They say it's great for protein drinks. I have protein drink every morning. In any event, I saw an interesting reaction from a couple of my buddies yesterday. One is in the medical business, and he's been real concerned. But I've never seen this guy get pissed off until yesterday, when he found out that the Las Vegas Golden Knights had postponed their games, and he went through the roof. You know, now don't get me wrong, he knows it's the right thing to do, but that really pissed him off. And I kind of dogged him about it, saying, man, you don't get mad until they cancel a sporting event? That was until this morning when I saw they postponed the Masters golf tournament. I gotta admit, I was pissed off. You know, it seems like in times like this, we need those distractions. But I'm a father. I have 4 kids, so I know it's the right thing to do. I'm just glad that football is 5-6 months away. Hopefully this thing will be under control by then. I'm just saying, take care and stay healthy.
Stop! Don't touch me there. This is my no-no square. Stop! Don't touch me there. This is my no-no square.
Let me start with my headline tonight. I'm retiring. This is the last hardball on MSNBC, and obviously, this isn't for lack of interest in politics. As you can tell, I've loved every minute of my 20 years as host of Hardball. Every morning I read the papers, and I'm gung-ho to get to work. Not many people have had this privilege. I love working with my producers and the discussions we have over how to report the news. And I love having this connection with you, the good people who watch. I've learned who you are, bumping into you on the sidewalk or waiting at an airport and saying hello. You're like me. I hear it from your kids and grandchildren who say, my dad loves you, or my grandmother loves you, or my husband watched it till the end. Well, after a conversation with MSNBC, I decided tonight will be my last hardball, so let me tell you why. The younger generations out there are ready to take the reins. We see them in politics, in the media, in fighting for their causes. They are improving the workplace. We're talking here about better standards than we grew up with, fair standards. A lot of it has to do with how we talk to each other. Compliments on a woman's appearance that some men, including me, might have once incorrectly thought were okay. We're never okay. Not then and certainly not today. And for making such comments in the past, I'm sorry. I'm very proud of the work I've done here. Long before I went on television, I worked for years in politics, was a newspaper columnist and author. I'm working on another book. I'll continue to write and talk about politics and cheer on my producers and crew here in Washington and New York and my MSNBC colleagues. They will continue to produce great journalism in the years ahead. And for those of you who have gotten into the habit of watching Hardball every night, I hope you're going to miss me because I'm going to miss you. But remembering Humphrey Bogart and Casablanca, we'll always have Hardball. So let's not say goodbye, but till we meet again.
Coronavirus is not an excuse for racism. Nothing is.
Discrimination can be disguised as jokes or political opinion. Don't let that happen. Be open and listen to people who have experienced racism. This can build understanding and support. It's vital to speak out when it feels safe. Call it out. Mind your language. Words can obscure people's humanity and fuel stereotypes. Say what you're for. We're for a world where we can live freely and without fear. It's up to us to make that happen.
You know, since the beginning of the COVID-19 outbreak, we have seen not only the spreading of the virus, but also a rapid spreading of racism and xenophobia. We have witnessed at the highest levels, in fact, of the Republican Party fanning irresponsibly these flames. One colleague tweeted that everything you need to know about the Chinese coronavirus, unquote. My district is home to nearly 32% foreign-born residents, with more than a quarter immigrating from Asia. This painful rhetoric has consequences. Restaurants across Boston's Chinatown have seen up to an 80% drop in business. And I believe this has everything to do with the rapid spread of misinformation and paranoia. It is critical that we stand against these insightful messages and assuage fear in our communities. And we do that by dispelling untruths and misinformation. We can only do that by sharing the facts. And that is why I'm grateful to have.
Where is she going? She's coming over here. What is she on? I ain't talking to her. What is she on? Oh no, she ain't getting here. Fuck that. Oh, she on some crazy shit.
I sincerely hope that we are not at a place as Americans to where we are going to let the Democrats jam down the Green New Deal because we're at home panicked. I want to have a frank conversation with you and ask you where you stand. I'm in the danger zone. I'm right at the edge. I'm 56. In Italy, they're saying if you're sick and you're 60, don't even come in. So I'm in the danger zone. I would rather have my children stay home and all of us who are over 50 go in and keep this economy going and working. Even if we all get sick, I'd rather die than kill the country, because it's not the economy that's dying. It's the country. And I'll show you just what's happening to us just by looking at the talks with the stimulus right now. We have that coming up in 1 minute.
But they wouldn't accept that language. But it doesn't make sense, does it? So anyway, we want to improve on that and improve how many other people would avail themselves of it. So again, these are needs that people have. This is all, understand this about this. It's really important to know this. This is all about the coronavirus. It's not about anything else. It's about the coronavirus. So this is temporary for this period of time. And it's important to know that, because people say, well, why should we do it? Because of the coronavirus. It's a public health issue, and we have to keep people as healthy as we can. And family medical leave is one way to do that. And then some of the other issues that I meant, that what they're getting tested, then they should have not to pay a high copay for the other services that go with that test at this time. When we're talking about of course, the direct payments are directly related to this. So, but just
we do anticipate a rise in domestic violence incidents during this time.
In a time when companies are encouraging their employees to work remotely and the CDC is encouraging social distancing, an abuser may take advantage of an already stressful situation to gain more control. Being cooped up in the home and disconnected from friends and colleagues places tremendous strain on victims who may face additional threats of abuse. And without the income to pay rent, and because so many shelters are full, survivors have reported that they may face homelessness. Well, COVID-19 will reduce options to seek safety for domestic violence survivors because there are fewer services and interventions available. Courts may not be processing all cases. Doctors may not have time to make referrals. With closures in the service industry sector and other employment challenges, victims may lose their jobs or be unable to find work. Individuals may feel like they have to stay with an abuser because their financial options may have become even more constrained. So the issue is that perpetrators may act with impunity, increasing their abusive behavior because they think victims cannot leave. Domestic violence and sexual assault programs are already unable to meet many needs of victims and survivors. There are thousands of requests that for services that are unmet every day, and COVID-19 is only making it worse. So during economic crises, when the demand for services increase substantially, donations decrease, leaving programs in a really tough bind. And many shelters just don't have the resources. So right now, we know that funding is urgently needed. While this pandemic may present novel and significant concerns, the resilience of survivors and our work to end domestic violence in the face of overwhelming challenges is not new. We really want survivors to know that they are not alone and help is available. Many shelters are putting survivors up in hotels. Local domestic violence programs can help them plan to stay safer in their own homes or help them get to a safe place. Since it might be hard to find the privacy to make a phone call, they can reach out by chat and email. And in particular, they can contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and they can help survivors make plans, connect with services, and get support.